Welcome back to the My Inner Struggle podcast. I'm your host, Laura Ferry. Today, we're diving into something that's been showing up in my world, my clients' worlds, and maybe yours too: money. But not the budgeting spreadsheet kind of money talk. I mean the emotional side of it. Because for most of us, money isn't just numbers. It's tied to our identity, our safety, and our sense of worth. If you've ever felt anxious checking your bank account, if you've ever undercharged because you didn't think anyone would pay more, if you've ever wondered, why do I still feel broke even when I'm doing better, you're not alone. Let's pull back the curtain on what's really going on behind your money story and how to start shifting it. So when you're ready, grab a cup of coffee and come get uncomfortable with me. Let's dive in. I'm really happy that you're here for this because this is something that has come up over and over and over again throughout my life into adulthood. And we're talking about money today. And I have clients that show up with that same kind of issue, or that the same things keep presenting themselves. We're not learning our lessons, or we're not moving forward. And it's the way we feel about all of the things behind it. So I wanted to talk about our relationship with money today and that emotional tie that we have to that. And I've talked to all sorts of people in this realm about money, people that have tons and tons of money and people that have no money. And they all have that same sort of level of fear. And they possess that even if they have tons of money as backup at the bank, or they don't. So that's very interesting to observe. And I love talking with people and diving into this topic a lot because nobody ever wants to talk about it because it's uncomfortable. And we all start from some place where we create these habits, right? All of them, whether it's negative self-talk, whether it's our relationship with money, whether it's our relationship with those close to us, our spouse or anybody else, and about worth and what we bring to the table. And I was finding that over certain periods of time of my life, my struggle with money has directly correlated with how I felt about myself. And that the fact that the truth is that your bank account does not define you. Your credit score does not define you. None of those things do. Who you are as a person is what defines you. But it's that weight that we carry with us, whether it's what we think is our level of success or anything else. It's all within us to change that. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit today. Not about budgets or spreadsheets, although I do love those things and I'd love to talk about that another day. But it's this emotional side of money and our attachment to that, and kind of a money mindset. So if you've ever felt anxious about those things, whether you have $1 million in the bank or $10 in the bank, those people still possess the same fear of, like, what if there's not enough? Or what if I don't have any? What if I lose everything? All of that. And money is important. Money allows us to do those things that we want to in life, to enjoy certain things, to eat delicious food or go on great vacations, spend time with our kids doing fun things. It also allows us to help other people too. So those that are less fortunate of us. So we want to create that wealth so that we can do all of those things that we want to do. But at the same time, our mindset is what holds us back from that. And knowing that we deserve these things, we deserve to be successful, we deserve to have wealth behind us, is like a big factor in a lot of people's lives. I know that I've been morphing everything together that I've been doing with businesses and with individuals as far as coaching goes, and kind of it's all follows the same thing: getting your shit together and moving forward in life. Some of us have been in deeper places than others, sure. But it's all relative to your own story. And I definitely have been that mom at the grocery store, especially when my kids were little, that was kind of keeping tally as I went along because I knew I couldn't go over a certain number or I wouldn't I wouldn't be able to walk out of there with everything that I needed. So running through the grocery store and kind of knowing, okay, this is $5, write that down, or keeping track of that in my head as I went along, so that I knew that I had enough money for what I needed, that was in my cart. And it was really hard. And those were moments that made me doubt myself and really hit like struck my confidence and really dove down deep for that. I can remember at those lowest money points, crying every day. The phone is ringing, the creditors, were calling. I didn't know which way was up. I was trying to make the most being with my two little kids, and it was hard every fucking day. Uh, and it was all on my shoulders. There was no other, place to look. There was no one really to ask for help or anything like that. And we, struggled big time. It affected, my relationship. It affected my relationship with my children. I wasn't very happy. I was just defined by this, this like dark cloud hanging over me that I didn't have enough. And then fast forward to 2 years ago when I left my full-time job, my consistent paycheck, to figure out what I was going to do next. I didn't have a plan when I left, mind you. I knew that I couldn't stay there anymore, that my time there was up. I had reached a ceiling, and I knew that I needed to make a change. Um, I had money saved in the bank. I had quite more money than I had ever saved. Myself, let alone with a partner, and was able to negotiate severance and things, to leave and set myself up for a good period of time. And during that time, I did some soul searching, and you never really understand. And I talk about this a lot in my book, actually. Is It an Open Bar, which is available on my website, myinnerstruggle.com. But we kind of put so much weight on our jobs, right? That it serves this major purpose for us. And so we don't realize that until we don't have a job. And I have clients that have gone through that, before too, that they don't have a job that they love or they feel no purpose. And, it's kind of silly because your purpose should be bigger than like your career, obviously. But I went through a period of time that was really tough, but so much self-discovery. And so in that time when I first left that job, I was trying to figure out where where I could fill that need. And I started, applying for jobs. I have so much experience in so many different aspects of operations and finance and business. I didn't know what to hone in on. So I would apply for different types of jobs, and then also started, kind of rebooting my consultancy in business just to kind of see what felt good and to move forward. But I definitely didn't get a parachute of financial support by doing any of that. So in that process, definitely was difficult. Owning your own business, and I just had this discussion with a business owner yesterday, is a roller coaster. And especially in the beginning, the first couple years of business. Like I said, you don't generally open a business, whether it be a virtual business or a brick and mortar, and people are just like, here, take my money. There might be some initial, excitement around a launch or something like that, where people are buying and they want, or it's your friends and family and they want to support you, which is awesome. But you have to be consistent, and you need consistent money to keep up with that each month. So it's tough. It's really, really tough. And you can send out a bunch of proposals and not hear back from any for, like 6 months. Maybe they're not ready yet. It could be a year later. It could be 5 years from now. So it's kind of crazy and exciting at the same time, being able to do what you love to do, and making a living at it. But there's a whole background behind it. And financial money is tied so closely to your worth, and not in a healthy way. And so I find myself, going through that from time to time, even now, as I am doing better than I ever have in my own business. it's still not enough. And I don't mean not enough like I'm greedy. I mean, it's not enough yet, but it will be. And so as you build and build and build on those things, when in those dark times, when my kids were little and a couple years ago when, everything sort of was stagnant, not built yet, trying to figure out where I was going, I noticed how deeply my self-worth was tied to my income. Because when I got divorced, I knew I needed to hit a certain number in order to survive, and then another number in order to feel freedom so that I could do things with my children and not have to worry so much. Um, I felt like I had to earn my worth in order to move forward or to be successful in life. And I couldn't ask for help because that meant I was weak, right? I've always had this thing. I can't ask for help because I need to be able to do it myself. And those are early childhood trauma things. When you are used to being the only person that you can depend on, you tend to shy away from trying to depend on other people for things. And so I dug into all of that, and it was really, really interesting. Again, it's all in my book. Is it an open bar? Um, I I undercharged for services I delivered, and I constantly was giving out free information until fairly recently, actually, when I decided to morph everything together. I kind of treated the business services as this thing um, that was on its own, and I didn't advertise. And recently did. And of course, you see this brand that I've built, which is incredibly awesome. And now I'm doing that with my business, I should say. This is funny because this was a passion project. My inner struggle was a blog that I started, and I always wanted it to be something, but I wasn't really when it started. I didn't know like how to get there, what to do. I wasn't in the right mind space to even consider moving forward with that. I just started writing. And so this passion project of mine has turned into this career, which is really fucking cool. But again, I'm still riding that roller coaster because that's how it goes. I constantly was doubting myself what I was worth or if I was worth what I wanted to charge or even in business, I love helping people. People are my passion, and that's not going to change. But I have been, since I've been doing this a while now, I have been able to more or less kind of decide what is worth. I don't want to say what is worth my time, what is worth um charging for and what is not. I would meet business owners all the time and just kind of just give out free advice. And whether they took it or not, I have no idea. It doesn't go from there. And I like to help people. So if I can help somebody with a certain situation, in networking or otherwise, yes. But I was going the extra mile. I do things for different businesses or whatever. But that's how that kind of grew for me. I didn't really advertise. It was mainly like word of mouth, or I'd say, hey, is anybody looking for a bookkeeper type of thing? Because that is what my business is. We start out, kind of going through everything, getting everything cleaned up, and then do, monthly reconciliation and closing things, getting shit organized for the business owner. Everything from like kind of organizational tasks or just getting them organized like in their space, like a filing system. And I know that sounds kind of like it's like 2000, what, 25, 25, but you still need to be organized. It doesn't really matter whether it's on your computer or on your desk. You have to be organized or you're going to lose your shit and you're not going to be able to grow. And that's what's so important. So, getting business owners organized with their money and individuals organized with their money. In the Self Love Club, we talk about all these things, and with my individual clients as well. One of the first things that we start off, there's a lot of women that come to me during this transitional point in their lives that they're like, I want to make a change, but I don't know where to start. I definitely know I don't make enough money, but they have no idea what's even being spent each month. Or they have an idea, they think they have an idea, and then once they get it down, it was way different than what they thought. And typically in business and individuals, it's the same thing over and over again. They didn't realize that they were spending so much, or they didn't realize that they were spend, well, I should say they didn't realize that they were spending so much over what they were making, right? Because we tend to avoid looking at the numbers. That is a common pattern that I see among individuals and business owners. Even in the times, and it's so critical to have an eye on that, even if you're not the one that's paying the bills in your business, even if you're not the one that's paying the bills at home, it's important that you know what's happening. That is the power. Knowledge is power, period. And whatever gets measured gets managed. So I keep using that phrase over and over and over again. It's like my favorite new one. And I think I learned that from Rachel Rogers, actually. And when you are putting your head in the sand and not thinking or not understanding what's actually happening in front of you, that's a problem. You're just avoiding it. And to get uncomfortable and kind of take a look at those things are really, really important. So in the self-love club and with my individual clients, we kind of work, I have some like budget sheets that I'll share with them just to kind of basics put down what you like, what bills are coming out each month, what the what the amount is, what your income is, and see where you are at the end of the month. And it's eye-opening a lot of times. When I go into business, it's no different really. It's just open the kimono, let's see what's happening. And that way we have some sort of base to move forward from. In both aspects, it's interesting because I work with a lot of different types of companies and people, individuals of different backgrounds. Obviously, we're all different. We all come from different places. Um, Sometimes people feel guilty for wanting more. If you have this, and you'll know, like you're triggered. I think I said this on the podcast that I did with Benny's Bodega. It was back in the fall, perhaps, and we were talking about that struggle at the grocery store. And I was telling them how, when my kids were younger, that it was definitely a struggle, and it was serious. And I would be triggered all the time. I'd want to check my bank account before I actually went to go check out because I didn't want to get declined in front of anybody. That's embarrassing because that looks like a decline of me personally. And it really isn't. So whether, um, you're holding your whole confidence or your self-worth on what size your bank account is something that you really have to take a look at. Ask yourself why. Continually ask yourself why. Why do I have these feelings around money? Why am I afraid of that? And when I've talked about this before, when we step into this abundance mindset, it's not about like, when I say like I'm manifesting abundance, it doesn't mean a giant bank account necessarily. It means that I have enough for what I need and enough to share, and I'm not thinking about it in this small container anymore. So when we possess that scarcity mindset, that is like, it's not enough. It's never enough. It's never going to be enough. I need more. I need more. I need more. And when we're constantly chasing and chasing and chasing and chasing something, we're not attracting what's really meant for us. We're chasing something. And what happens when you chase something? It's going to run further and further and further away. And I know some people may think of may be listening and kind of going, well, okay, that's like far fetched, but it's true. It's actually true. If you are in alignment with what it is that you're seeking, if you put yourself into this better mindset, and that's why everything that I say, everything that I do, Laura Ferry Growth Co., everything relates back to this relationship that you have with yourself. If you wake up every morning and are telling yourself, I am worthy of abundance, I am worthy of financial stability, I am worthy of helping others financially, I am worthy of all of these things, rather than when you get up in the morning going, all right, I need to make $10,000 today so that I can get to this point, so that I can get to this point, so that I can get to this point. While it might be motivating, and I feel like that's almost more maybe a competitive mindset with yourself, like you're challenging yourself those things. And that's important and that's good. But when you're putting so much strain on that, I need, you're never going to get there. And the other side of the coin is that some people, their mindset about money may be that there's never enough. which is kind of a problem because you have to be content at some point with what it is and be grateful for what you have, and that tends to attract more. So whether it's people or money, relationships, all sorts of things. And I don't want to use like, you know, possessions because that's not where we're going with that, but it attracts more abundance when you are grateful for what you have. When you start, there's actually, let me back up for a minute. There are many different affirmations that I used for myself when I was in those more recently, not when my kids were little, because I didn't even have this information then. I wish I did, but I didn't. And since I've grown for the last decade, really concentrating on my relationship with all of these things in those previous couple years where I was really, really digging deep. And there are definitely times where even now where I'm like, okay, I need to get to the next step. I'm hiring employees, we're getting more clients, but I need to keep growing myself as well, which is another part of the puzzle, really, as a business owner. Like you need to keep growing because when you stop growing, your business stops growing. And I don't mean that you're not going to make any money if you're not like reading self-help books or something like that. That's not what I'm talking about. But your relationship with your employees, the communication skills, like all of those things, like you're growing as a company, you have to grow too. Like it's kind of a requirement. And but it's like a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a really, really good thing. And I think anybody of the same mindset will agree and know, like, or if you've been dabbling in that information. But there are a few affirmations that I've used for the past few years to get myself through those money woes, really. And one of them is I have plenty of money for whatever I need. I have plenty of money available for me whenever I need it. I have plenty of money available to me whenever I need it because we're training our minds to not go, oh my God, I only have $100. Oh my God, I only have this. Or, oh my God, because you don't want to think like that because that's like a scarcity mindset. You're sitting there waiting for the other shoe to drop, and we don't want to do that. We want to be in the mindset that we are grateful for what we have. And money is like, it's like a free flowing element. Like it flows in and out of our lives. We don't have control over it. You can't hang on to it. You have to let it flow. It's like an energy. And the more you can adopt that mindset and know that money comes and goes, even when we are in those darkest points, and feel like the bottom is falling out from us. And trust me, I've fucking been there. After I left that company, I hit the worst financial scarcity moment that Laura has ever felt in her life because here I am on my own and I have no backup. I don't have anybody to call when I need financial help at all, nor would I want to because I have that other thing going for me. But um, I don't have backup. This is me. And I just did a reel on it about it the other day. Like I start from zero every month and then make it to the end, right? And so I have a mortgage, I have three kids, I have employees that I need to support, and I have all of these other things. And so it's hard. Those hard months are hard. And even though you're working with a client and they may sign a proposal or whatever, you might not start working with them for a couple months. So anybody in sales will understand that little bit of a roller coaster. And so that abundance mindset or having those affirmations and being able to talk yourself out of that scarcity piece is very, very important. So how do we start to shift besides all of that, besides the affirmations? And we need to start, one, you need to stop beating yourself up and saying like, you are not your bank account. You are not your credit score, because that gets messy too sometimes, especially during divorce, without a doubt, or any type of major life change like that, right? Um, so you have to start getting curious and asking yourself questions. What did I learn about money growing up? Generally, a lot of us, people that I talk to, I should say, in my general population, our parents didn't really teach us much about money. I know, and I talked about it in my book, that my parents, it was like a roller coaster all the time. My dad would get paid. I'm assuming it was every Friday. I don't know, but or every other week. I don't know. But my dad would get paid and we'd go out shopping. We would get groceries, we would go to Walmart. It was like I could see that happening. My parents would get money, they'd go shopping. Things we needed, things we didn't need, it didn't really matter. And then it's like coasting for the next paycheck or whatever. So it was very much a roller coaster. And I can remember literally driving the car that Friday night, we'd go out to dinner, we'd go shopping, we'd get all these things, and then it would be like stressful until the next time, essentially. And I think in some ways, I've said this before, the most vulnerable emotion is being happy. So when you think about that again, repeat it to yourself. The most vulnerable emotion is being happy. And when we start believing that we have to struggle to succeed, that gets so far embedded in ourselves that it's really hard to change these things. You think about this. I'm 43, right? And I've had these, I'm going to say a majority of these negative thoughts for, say, 30 years of my life. Let's just call it 30 years. And you have something that has been deeply embedded in your brain, your mindset, your personality, that's kind of a negative thing. It's going to take a little while to break that. One of those things, and we take on from our parents that we don't realize, is, by their example, obviously. And if you have children, I have children, you want to lead by example, show by action, not by telling, things like that. And so when you start making these shifts in your life, you'll be teaching your children, and they're just going to know by observing, because these kids are, even your teenagers, even your kids in their early 20s, they are like sponges. It doesn't really matter. So once you start being better with that money mindset, the confidence, not talking down to yourself, like all of those things are so interconnected. That sets a really good example for them, and then they tend to jump on just because you're showing how good it looks, basically. um, so start asking yourself those questions. When did I learn about money growing up? What were those lessons about money growing up, good, bad, or indifferent? My life has been kind of this theme of like what not to do versus what to do. I didn't have a lot of positive influence in my immediate family. It was a lot of outside influence. Um, so what did I learn about money growing up? What did I start believing? When did I start believing that I had to struggle to succeed? We don't have to struggle to succeed. You can just succeed and be happy. That most vulnerable emotion. And why do I feel unsafe when I receive more than I need? So if you are somebody that gets money and then spends it all, and then you're left with like, shit, I shouldn't have done that, or whatever. I start asking yourself why and where that came from. If you're working with a therapist, that's even better, because they can continually ask you those questions to dig back to why. And if you're not, that's okay too. Just keep asking yourself those questions, keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. And then you find out like the source of this. The next time that something happens, you can say, okay, I'm really ready to break the cycle and not do this. Maybe I put it away a little bit. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is this scarcity kind of part of it. So where we build this new story where money it's a tool, it's not a threat, basically, right? So we're giving and receiving. Money is this endless cycle. It's going to come, it's going to go. We're going to have it sometimes, we're not going to have it sometimes, and it's okay. We don't have to clench so tightly onto it. And I'm not saying don't save. That's not what I'm saying at all. When you are in this let it go mindset, when let it go, like let it flow, it's more peace for you. It's kind of like, I just read this meme yesterday, I think, and it popped up like twice, and it was like, think about your money like actually, it wasn't even thinking about money, but I'm going to associate it to money. It was like, think about your worry like a rocking chair. You can be rocking in that rocking chair all day long, but you're never going to get anywhere. If you're constantly worrying about money, you're just kind of sucking up all that energy. You're constantly worried about money. Not to say like, obviously, you have to you need what you need to get by each month, right? But when we think about, say we'll associate it to a goal. So if you are a business owner, or if you're not a business owner, it doesn't really matter. You know that, say you do freelance or something like that. When you have a regular paying job, it's like a little bit different. Although if you're paid hourly and it's part-time and those hours are out of your control, you kind of fall into that same category too. Say at the end of the month that, all said and done, all of your bills, you need $5,000 at the end of the month. That is your goal, that $5,000. And you can knock off one or 2,000 because you're guaranteed this amount of hours, or you have these regular clients or whatever it is. But you still have to make up, $2,000 to $3,000 or whatever the difference is. And you start thinking about, okay, it's at the beginning of the month, or you can plan this ahead of time too. Take those things and break it down into tiny, little, smaller goals, like we would with any other type of goal when we talk about goal setting. So, what can I do today to get me further on those things? Because you can't just put out a social media post once and expect people to grab onto it, make a purchase, and be a repeat customer. Most of the time, it's not going to wind up like that. So we have to think about the things that we can do daily without driving ourselves crazy, to continually make that income. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but it all works, trust me. So whatever gets measured gets managed. And you have to continually do that. If you know where your money is going, you know how much you need, really how much you need, it helps because you need to have a goal in mind each month. What do they say? A goal without a plan is just a dream, right? So if we're sitting here, and again, this like relates to the vision board thing too. If we can sit, like we put a bunch of pictures on a vision board and this is what I want, and we just stare at it every day, and don't take action to get those things, we're not going to get those things. It's a culmination of all of those things. It's your mindset, it's that vision, and it's that drive and action that takes you there. So let's build your new money story. Where are those thoughts coming from? Are you holding on to it? Are you afraid to spend anything? I've worked with clients that have had money in the bank and didn't really want to, commit to paying for coaching, wanted to pay week by week by week. And it doesn't really work that way. When you are working on a goal, you need to commit to it. Like that's the whole point. Jump in with both feet and commit to whatever it is that you want to achieve. Otherwise, you're not going to get there. You have to go all in. And that makes a big difference. Um, I want to give you a couple tangible takeaways on this. While you're thinking about your money mindset in the next week, when you listen to the podcast and you're driving to work and you're thinking about it and you're like, yeah, I guess I am kind of angsty when it comes to money, or I'm afraid I'm not going to have it, or I'm afraid I'm not going to have enough, and all of those things. Um, Start tracking your income. If you're not tracking it, start tracking it. If you are tracking it, good. See if you can make it better. Your whether it's a spreadsheet or if you're using software, how can you increase your vision on that aspect of it? Or if that's good, make sure you're tracking both your income and your gratitude side by side. Make a spreadsheet. The other thing that you can do, that I want you to consider, is these affirmations. And some people may roll their eyes at them, but when you start training your brain to think these better things than those crappier things, it definitely makes a difference. Create weekly money check-in for yourself. So if you're someone that's constantly worried about it, sit down every Saturday or every Friday or something like that before you hit your weekend, because that was something that I had carried with me into adulthood when I was in my early 20s. I remember I would get paid on a Friday or whatever, and I'd have a great weekend, and then I'd have to like sail to the next week. What is that? That's a I'm repeating my parents' like cycle basically of what that was. And so before you get to the weekend, have a plan for yourself. And I'm not saying to not spend any money because that's not life. Ideally, when I talk about this in the Self Love Club too, we're expanding, we're not shrinking. We want to enjoy our time while we're here. It's not to say you have to cut out your coffee every day. Maybe you'll have to cut back a little bit if we have to be realistic and we're not affording what it is that we're doing. But if we are, let's think about um, instead of shrinking ourselves, let's expand. Let's make more money. How can we start a side hustle to get us to the point where we can feel comfortable and not strained, but also good in our head, if any of that makes sense. So create that money check-in for yourself. So see where you are, check your spending and also your income and see where it lines up. And if you need help, I am here, I am available. I am coaching clients every day and it's incredible. And there are so many things that you can learn just by putting those things down yourself. Including like last year, I did an episode on the brain dump. So if you're overwhelmed by all of these things that you're trying to accomplish, put it all down. Most business owners, I ask them, I'm like, well, where is this information? It's up here, Laura. It's up here. I'm like, yeah, that's not a good spot for it. That's really not, because it's never going to like get out and anywhere. And how can you get support on those trying to reach those goals if it's all up here because nobody else can see it? So I hope this was helpful to you in your money mindset, and just asking yourself those questions because those are crucial. I'm going to be doing more on this because there are so many people that come to me with it and they're like afraid to talk about it. They're embarrassed, and it's nothing to be embarrassed about. We have these habits that we've developed early on from the things that we've learned early on as kids, as teenagers, as young adults, and in survival mode. It's tough right now. It's hard. Everything is super expensive. And no matter where you go, you step out your door, it's $100. It doesn't matter what it is. You have kids with you, it's even more. Everything you do, it costs money. And so let's just make this a more streamlined conversation. Let's make it so that people don't have to feel so embarrassed to talk about it. I hope this episode stirred something up within you, and I hope that it's fruitful. I hope that you start that conversation with yourself. I hope that you start taking a look at things. If you need help, I'm here for you. Just shoot me a message on social, send me an email. You're not meant to carry this weight alone. So please reach out. You don't have to. You can join the Self Love Club where we talk about all of this and more all the time. Or if a group thing is not your thing, I coach people individually and help businesses. If you're a business owner drowning in all of the back end chaos, trying to get organized, whether it's bookkeeping, administrative work, just a project that you need to get off your plate, I have a 10-hour business sprint that I'm working on with my staff that just kind of gets the job done for you. And we're here for that. Let's clear the clutter so we can breathe again and keep going. Everything, you can find all of that information over at lauraferry.com. I hope that you have a great week. I hope if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe wherever you are watching or listening, and share it with a friend if you think that they could benefit from this as well. As always, I'm thinking of you and sending you love, and I will see you soon.